Greetings and welcome to our third screencast about MapTool. Today we're going to discuss light and sight and how they interact with the vision blocking layer. You can see here our campaign file that we've used in the last two screencasts. We're not going to be doing much with most of the panels today, so I'm going to get rid of the chat panel, the macro panel, the map explorer, and the resource library to allow us to see the map more fully. Alright, so vision blocking layer is what drives light and sight as far as what the players can see. And the way you access that is by selecting this eyeball up here. And you notice that these blue lines appear on the screen. Those blue lines indicate that we've got vision blocking layer at those spots. Characters, PCs cannot see through those. So if I'm going to put some additional VBL down, you can just select any of these drawing tools up here. It's the normal ones you're used to by now from Fog of War and others. You have circles, squares, free closed polygons, and just lines. So we're going to use a square for now. Hitting the control key anchors it to the grid, so you'll see that jump as it moves. And this is handy. This is why your grid size is so important. One of the reasons grid size is so important. If your grid lines up with your map, your walls are going to line up with the grid, and thus you can hit that control key when you're laying down VBL, and it's going to closely match the walls. So you can see when I added that, this other area back here became gray. So I'm going to go, the other thing that we do here often in MapTool is go to Preferences and Application and set this Exposed Fog on Movement token, or token movement, excuse me, to on. That means when a token moves, it's going to automatically clear off any fog of war that it needs to clear. So I'm going to get out of vision blocking layer. The blue lines disappear. I'm going to go to fog of war real quick and add back some fog. So as before, hitting the shift key will add the fog. Without the shift key, it takes it away. So there's our fog. So now when I move one of these tokens, he's going to expose fog. So if I move our hero, note that the fog disappeared. So you can see as you're moving through a dungeon that things are going to change. So VBL is one setting and auto expose is another setting. On the map, you can set the vision distance. So if I go to edit map, I can set the vision distance here, which affects how far player characters can see. Normally we leave that at 1000, but if you've got a map that's like a foggy swamp, you might cut that down a great deal. If I cut this down to 10, the characters will only be able to see something that's 10 away. The other place that affects vision is whether you have your vision turned off, day or night. Off means that the characters will see anything that has been exposed from fog of war. So in this case, if I had it off and we'd already exposed this section of the dungeon, then they would see the trolls there. If I set it to day, they won't see what's hidden from them by VBL, but their vision goes out to their maximum distance. So if I switch to player view, you'll see they can't see the trolls until they enter their line of sight. Now the third one is night, and before we discuss night, I'm going to discuss light, because when you select night, the only thing they will see is that which is covered by a light source. So for light, to define lights, we go to Campaign Properties and go to Light, and you're able to define different kinds of light, how far they go out, what their shape is, and whether they have a shadowy area as well. We'll get back to the definition in a minute, but you see these listed for lights, and we're about to see those appear on the character token. So when you right click on a character token and choose light source, you can choose any you like. I'll just go generic 15, so that now the mage has a 15-foot light source. So if I go to map and select night, you can see how that's changed. Doesn't go everywhere anymore. It only goes out the distance of that light source. So note when he went behind this VBL blocked area, the elf disappeared. Now you can see. Alright, so let's set his light source down a bit. I'm going to clear all light sources first, and then I'm going to go to something smaller like a candle. Now the candle was defined with the shadowy area, and so you can see the shadowy area out here, and then the normal brightness area here. So now we're going to talk about visions, because vision interacts with light. There are different kinds of visions that you can define. You can define dark vision, low light vision, normal vision, and conic vision. So this is once again under campaign properties, and you set your visions here. In this case we have dark vision set at a distance of 8 with a sort of an internal light source of 8 as well. We have normal vision, square vision if that's what you want for the shape, low light vision, which is a circle that magnifies any light by 2, meaning it has double the distance, and conic vision with an arc of 120. So if I set my elf to have low light vision, the distance he can see is twice that of what the mage can see. Or the hero. So for the purpose of demonstration, let's give the hero dark vision. Now at dark vision, he doesn't require a light source. He can see whatever he wants, wherever he is. He still is affected by light sources somewhat, but for the most part, he doesn't require any sort of light to see. In fact, if I put him in the middle of this, he's only going to be able to see that square because it's still blocked by VBL, but he doesn't require light to see. Okay, so normally for a dungeon, what we would do is remove VBL as we go through the dungeon, the VBL that represents doors. And so if we go here back to the VBL tool, and shift key, just like fog, is going to do the opposite of the non-shift key, so I'm going to hit shift key with control key held down to snap to grid, and it's going to remove that VBL, and that lets the character see through the door. You would assume that they've opened the door and they can move through the dungeon. One thing to note, that light can also be conic. So if I give this person a Savage Worlds flashlight, he now has a conic flashlight that moves with him by his facing. So if he comes out here, we'll come out of the map a little bit, you can see that he's got an additional light source that just extends out further than that 5 we defined earlier. And it moves in a cone as he faces. To clear light sources, you go back to light source and you can individually turn one off, or you can say clear all, and it's going to clear all the lights. Now another thing I want to touch on briefly is blast templates. And I use, for blast templates for Savage Worlds, I often use auras to do that. And auras are just another light source that's defined when you go in and define your properties. And for Savage Worlds, the blast templates are radius 1, radius 2, and radius 4. So this is a large blast template. So if you say you have a spell centered on the mage, then you can throw that blast template down and see who else is affected. Likewise, you can make a conic blast template like this, which also responds to facing. So if he were to do blast or burst or some sort that had a conic effect, you could throw that down on the mage and you could see where it hit. Now auras are affected by VBL. So if he said he threw it there, you'd say, well, that wall blocked that particular blast. You can clear auras and lights individually. So I can clear all auras, clear all lights, or clear all, either one. And the deed is done. So now let's see what it would be like possibly going through a dungeon. In this case, our hero, I'm going to define him back to, I'm going to give him conic vision because of his pot helm. So now he sees the troll. He moves in. His vision adjusts, if we have that map set to night, to whatever the light is available. So if he moves there, he can only partially see that troll. If I switch to player view, he can only partially see anything. The mage, when he moves up, he's going to expose more. So when I select this again, he now sees more of the troll. And you can see the tip of an axe up here, that he could possibly see another troll coming. For him to see other stuff, he has to rotate around. Our elf with low light vision can see further than the other characters, but still constrained by light. So if I give the elf a light source as well, he sees more. Alright, well, this concludes our Light and Sight screencast. Hopefully you found it informative. Please leave us a comment on Tales from the Savage Troll to let us know how we're doing. Until next time, good gaming.